Hey, thank you. Somebody responded. All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. I guess let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, everyone. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I know I just switched things up a little bit, but we'll go ahead and do introductions as well, the way we normally do.
Good afternoon. I am Christine Smith, Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I am Arlissa Easton, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I'm Mecklenburg County Commissioner Elaine Powell, representing District 1.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Rodriguez McDowell, elected by the people of District 6.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Meyer, and I represent District 5.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Arthur Griffin, and I represent County Commissioner at Large.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Jarrell. I've been elected by the people of District 4. Also have the honor and privilege of serving as chair.
Good afternoon. My name is Vilma D. Leak, and I represent the most powerful district in the county, and that's District 2. And to this staff, you are tops. You all are number one. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Yvette Townsend Ingram, and I have the pleasure of serving you at large.
Good afternoon. Tyrone Wade, County Attorney.
Good afternoon. Dina Diorio, County Manager.
Good afternoon. Adrian Cox, County Budget Director.
Good afternoon. Mike Ryan, incoming county manager.
Anthony Traum, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon. Leslie Johnson, Deputy County Manager.
The guys, David, please. Sorry.
We took more pictures last and Tuesday than we've ever taken. Communication.
Thank you.
Our Director of Asset Facility Management. Good afternoon. My name is Roger Jones. I'm the Economic Development Director, Mecklenburg County.
Can't hear you.
Suzette Nedrich from the Public Information Department.
Good afternoon. Raynard Washington, Public Health Director.
Lonnie Parker, Business Operations Director, Department of Community Resources.
Yolanda Griffin, Director for Department of Community Resources.
Andy Fair, Public Information.
Thank you.
Terry Thompson, Department of Internal Audit.
All right. Well, we got a lot of staff in here, so we're going to get moving. Sorry. But we respect and thank all of you. How about that? What I'll do right now is turn it over to our manager to tee us up so that we can go ahead and knock this thing out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have two items under our agenda today. The first is an update on the FY25 board priorities for the third quarter. So I will ask Adrian Cox, Budget Director, to walk us through that presentation.
All right. So thank you, County Manager Diorio. Good afternoon, Chairman Jarrell, members of the board. This afternoon, before we begin the overview of the manager's recommended fiscal year 2026 budget, I'm going to provide an update on the third quarter activity for the board's fiscal year 2025 budget priorities. As a reminder, here are the budget priorities for fiscal year 2025: early childhood development, educational attainment, environmental stewardship, health access, housing insecurity, workforce development, and racial disparities as a cross-cutting focus. I'm going to touch on some of the investments in each of the priorities and the activity that has occurred up to the third quarter of the year. The fiscal year 2025 budget includes $153 million in new investments aligned to the board's priorities, and you can see these investments reflected in the pie chart on this slide. At the end of the third quarter, we have committed 69%, or $105 million, of the funding for these investments, and this is consistent with the committed rate at the third quarter of fiscal year 2024. Committed refers to actual dollars spent, encumbered contracts, and filled position. There is $11 million in new funding dedicated to health access this year. $4.7 million has been committed at the third quarter. Medic has ordered 2 supervisor vehicles and 12 ambulances, and the delivery from the vendor is pending. Technology replacements have been purchased, and installation of the phone system upgrade is planned to occur before the end of the fiscal year. The board included $2 million in the budget in restricted contingency to support the Katie Blessing Center for Youth Behavioral Health. The foundation has met its fundraising goal for the Phase 1 of the facility and held a groundbreaking ceremony last month. County staff are working to finalize an agreement to secure beds for children referred by the county, and an action to release county funding will come before the board once the agreement is finalized. The board also included $1.5 million for Spangler's Grocery Store. That is also in restricted contingency, and county staff are evaluating the proposal. Funding to support services at public health clinics are being used for contracted staffing and supplies. The contract for the Youth and Family Services Emergency Shelter has been finalized and will provide 6 additional emergency placements. The site is expected to be in operation in June, pending the approval of the operating license from the state. Funding to increase in-home aid is being used to serve 210 residents. 5 CSGs related to health access were awarded for fiscal year 2025. As of the third quarter, Charlotte Speech and Hearing provided screening, language development, and hearing aids for 475 individuals. Jewish Family Services has provided non-traditional therapeutic intervention for 12 seniors. Hopeway Foundation has served 7 veterans facing mental health challenges. Monarch Youth Center provided short-term stabilization for 7 youth. And Achieving Success on Purpose has served 7 youth through individual and group therapy sessions. The mobile dental unit began serving 15 CMS schools in February and expects to serve over 850 students this year. Save a Smile has completed 20 cases of complex pediatric dental treatments, and they are working to expand their footprint. 3 staff were onboarded in January to assist with Senior Transportation Call Center, and 5,243 senior health trips were provided through the third quarter. The Charlotte Is Home Center opened earlier this year with help from the county. The center is providing legal, primary care, and assistance navigating services for refugee and migrant families. Through the third quarter, Carolina Migrant Network served 337 clients. The health clinic served 194 patients, and Our Bridge served 153 families. The county has established 20 mobile market locations and have served 1,820 seniors through the third quarter. The fresh food provided at the CRCs is estimated to have served 1,711 families, and additional funding for meals at congregate sites is helping to provide 3,140 meals a week to seniors. The budget includes $17 million in new funding for housing insecurity, and $10.2 million has been committed in the first quarter. Home for All, NOAA, and critical home repair programs are being implemented through the Affordable Housing Fund. There are some more details that are provided in the appendix to these slides. Forest Point Place opened in April and currently has 78 of the 88 beds occupied. The site was partially funded in 2025, and a full year of funding is recommended to be annualized for next year. Increases to the agreements with A Roof Above, Legal Aid, and Safe Alliance have been made to increase these services. There is a lag in reporting on these contracts, but we have listed the performance through the second quarter here on this slide. And at the end of the third quarter, the Transitional Housing Program was supporting 144 beds for formerly incarcerated individuals out of 182 that are available. The fiscal year 25 budget includes $61 million in new funding for educational attainment. $43.5 million has been committed to date. An increase of $56.4 million for operating and capital maintenance was approved for CMS. These funds are going to be fully spent by the year end for salaries, operating, technology, and capital maintenance. An agreement is in place for Arts Plus to provide $3 million for their capital campaign once the organization secures additional resources. When completed, the new location will allow the program to double the number of students for Studio 345. $1 million in one-time funding for library collections that brings the total in county contribution to $5.4 million, and the library is also receiving $2.1 million from other sources. As of the third quarter, the library had spent $5.6 million on books, digital content, and annual subscriptions for online resources. Other funding provided to the library will be spent by the year end. The fiscal year 2025 budget includes $12.4 million in new funding for workforce development. $10.3 million has been committed at the third quarter. A contract with the Arts and Science Council to provide operating grants to non-city organizations, arts education grants, and venue assistance has been finalized. Operating funding for CPCC is being used to operate facilities. Additional one-time funding for capital maintenance is being used to fund 13 maintenance projects. The MEC Success Pilot Program is providing case management to 29 families. The budget for the pilot includes $853,000 primarily for staff, $844,000 of one-time fund balance, and $1 million of unspent 2024 allocations that were carried forward for 2025. The program is expected to have $1.4 million unspent at the end of the year. The county is continuing to provide education and employment trips that began with ARPA dollars with county funding. At the third quarter, Transportation Services has provided 494 educational trips and over 14,000 employment trips. And the Pivot program is providing manufacturing internships to 21 high school students in the Lake Norman area. We have a list of employers participating in the program included in the appendix to your slides. $35.5 million of the $51 million in new funding for environmental stewardship has been committed at the third quarter. 328 acres of land have been purchased by the county and 22 acres are pending. Tree Charlotte has planted 275 trees at 4 affordable housing sites, and the county is partnering with JCSU and UNCC to develop a carbon offset program. Deep energy retrofits at the Judge Johnson building are 50% complete. Other projects are currently in the design phase. Construction of on-site solar is expected to begin in the fourth quarter for Tyvola Senior Center, Methodist Home, and Southview Rec Centers. Bids were received for on-site solar at the Park and Recreation Administration offices, but they were deemed non-responsive based on BDI requirements, and the bidder is appealing that decision. The 56 electric vehicles have been ordered and 19 have been received as of the third quarter, and 6 new charging stations have now been installed, bringing the total for the county to 172. The county has awarded a contract to complete a master plan for Edgewater Farm. The budget includes positions to maintain expanded greenway mileage, Eazell Park, Monroe Road Park, and additional open space. 5 of the 6 maintenance positions have been hired and 2 additional part-time positions. New funding for cooperative extension has provided raises for existing staff, and 3 of the 4 new staff have been hired by the organization. The Solarize program to provide subsidies to low and moderate income households to install solar panels is expected to begin in June. A consultant has completed a study of cyanobacteria in county-owned ponds, and the report is expected by the end of the year. For early childhood development, additional funding for MEC Pre-K and NC Pre-K has increased the reimbursement rate to $925 per month per child. MEC Pre-K is serving 1,775, or 96% of available capacity at the end of the third quarter. NC Pre-K is serving 1,079, or 75% of capacity. Child care subsidies through our workforce development programs are supporting 72 children per month, and 70 families will be served through a foster care child care subsidy program. YFS is also implementing a process to assist foster families to identify child care more quickly. Some other notable investments include $3 million of one-time funding added for park capital maintenance and repair, bringing the total to $7 million, and there's a list of projects and associated spend that's included in the appendix. The contribution to St. Lloyd Presbyterian Cemetery project has been made. As of the third quarter, Foster Village has distributed all of the 50 wellness packages to new foster families. Support for the HBCU Battle of the Bands was provided in the first quarter. An agreement with Project Bolt has been executed to support a community summit in August, but the summit did not occur as planned. The organizer is now working to hold the event in June. There was $7.5 million available for equity investments at the beginning of the year. $1 million has been committed to pilot 2 projects supporting vulnerable populations with temporary resources and literacy training. $500,000 for youth aging out of foster care, and $500,000 for formerly incarcerated individuals. Both of these pilots are underway. And lastly, for the homes program, this year we have distributed $4.1 million of the $8.4 million available funds. This includes 5,429 grants for county residents totaling $2.8 million. And you can see the stats for the Charlotte and Davidson communities this year at the bottom of this slide. Also, the city of Charlotte will not be participating in the program next year, which will change the total amount of grants that are available for Charlotte residents. So, Chairman Jarrell, that concludes my update on the third quarter board priorities.
All right, thank you, Adrian. A couple things to my colleagues. What I'd like to do is for us to really, unless you have something extremely pressing related to the update, I don't think this should be a shocker for the most part for any of us. But I really feel like we need to cover the recommended budget piece and really be able to dig deep into that. So does anybody have any burning, pressing questions that cannot be emailed and you need to know now? Okay. So with that being said, Adrian, Madam Manager, if we can move right into the recommended budget updates, that would be helpful.
All right, can I get the presentation pulled up? All right, the board's straw vote meeting is scheduled for the 29th for the board to consider changes that you may wish to make to the budget. So the purpose of today's presentation is to provide more details and answer any questions you may have in preparation for that meeting. I'm going to start off with a few summary slides, and then I'm going to go over the funding for CMS and CPCC. After that, I'm going to go over the funding for every agency. And lastly, I will summarize the tax rates proposed for the law enforcement and fire protection service districts. So to begin with some summary, here's a slide that I shared with you last week that summarizes the general fund county dollars. We are estimating $41 million in new county dollars from property tax growth, sales tax, and a few other unrestricted revenue sources. $31.6 million is recommended for employee compensations, and this includes a 3% across-the-board increase, performance pay with a maximum of 5%, reclassifications, and other salary benefit cost. I also need to make the board aware of a potential technical adjustment related to the salary cost that could increase this cost by $400,000. We are also looking at other sources that should offset this cost. I do not expect that it will be a net impact overall, and I'll bring back the details of that technical adjustment before your straw vote. $30 million is recommended for CMS and CPCC. $13 million is needed to sustain current operations through security maintenance, technology contracts, and annualization of service costs. The recommended budget includes $9.3 million in new investments. The major investments are in-home aid, adult daycare, and MEC pre-K. The manager is recommending $13.8 million for reductions to help offset the impact on the tax rate. Even with these reductions, the total general fund, county dollar funded expenses will increase by $70 million, and this leaves a $29 million gap requiring the proposed 0.96 cent tax increase. So each year we evaluate the areas of the budget that can be repurposed or realigned to meet our expenses without any impact on the taxpayers. In previous years, reductions have been made from lapsed salary and underspending and efficiencies that have been identified. This year, there are a few options to reduce the budget without directly impacting services. This year, the recommended budget includes $13.8 million in reductions. Overall, the manager has identified $218 million in reductions and repurposed funds since 2015. and this is equivalent to over 7.23 cents in savings on the tax rate for the taxpayers in Mecklenburg County. The reductions identified this year result from a thorough review of the county's 265 services. Nearly all of the departments are impacted by these reductions, and we have provided you with a summary of the recommended reductions identified for each of the departments. Here is a summary of the general fund revenue. County dollars are shown at the top half, and the non-county or the restricted dollars are shown in the bottom half. For the year-to-year comparison, I have excluded one-time funding and transfers in that can distort the comparison. Property taxes, including the recommended rate increase, are estimated to be $1.1 billion for the general fund, an increase of $53.7 million, or a little under 5%. Unrestricted sales tax is expected to increase by $12.7 million, or 4.1%. Other county revenue, which includes ABC revenue, revenue from the Register of Deeds, interest on investments, and a few smaller unrestricted revenue sources. These are expected to increase by $18.2 million. And as you are aware, last year the board allocated $14.7 to defer a property tax increase for the general fund. These one-time funds are not included in fiscal year 2026 and reduce the overall growth for the upcoming year. Total county dollars for the general fund are expected to increase by a little less than $70 million, or 4.7%. In terms of non-county dollars, federal funding, which is primarily in the form of reimbursement for health and human services, is estimated at $107 million, an increase of $5 million. State revenue is estimated to increase by $1.7 million, and fees and charges for services to increase by $3.6 million. Total general fund revenue, excluding fund balance and transfers for one-time expenses, is estimated to be $1.7 billion, an increase of $80 million, or 4.9%. The other major fund in the budget is the debt service fund. The debt service fund is funded with 11.5 cents of property tax. There is no change to the rate recommended to support this fund. Revenues are estimated to increase by $11.2 million in total, or 2.4%, and this includes property tax, a portion of ABC revenue, dedicated debt service, ABC revenue that's dedicated to debt service, sales tax that is restricted for school capital, some state and federal funding, and a few other minor sources. The manager is recommending the use of $30 million of available fund balance for one-time expenses. At the end of the fiscal year, the county is estimated to have $96 million of fund balance available above our policy minimum. Allocating $30 million will leave $66 million available before meeting the threshold. In total, there is estimated to be $533 million of fund balance remaining, or 32% of general fund revenue. Here again is the historic fund balance allocations in the adopted budget. And you can see that the $30 million recommended, that is recommended by the manager, is much less than in prior years. Also, here is a summary of the total budget that I shared last week. I'm not going to go back through each of these sections on these two tables unless somebody would like me to. The total recommended budget, including general, debt service, and all the special revenue funds, is $2.5 billion. And this includes one-time funding here. It totals to $39 million, a $39 million increase over last year, or only 1.6%. Our property tax rate can be broken into three major categories. The largest portion is used to fund CMS operating. The recommended budget allocates funding equivalent to 22.12 cent, a 0.46 cent increase. Property taxes supporting operating for the county and other partners equates to 15.58 cents, or a half-cent increase. Property taxes for the debt service fund, which funds capital for the county, for CMS, and for CPC, is 11.5 cents, and there is no increase recommended for the debt service fund. So that's the summary. I'm now going to move over to the expenses, focusing on education. So the manager is recommending $699 million for CMS, for operating, and for capital maintenance. This fully funds the request from CMS. I will point out that the totals here are slightly different from the total presented by CMS only because of a change in how we account for fines and forfeiture revenue. This is just an accounting change, and it will not make any difference to the money that is actually received by CMS. The recommended budget includes $28.3 million, or $28.3 million increase, or 4.4% for operating, and a $10 million increase over the base budget for capital maintenance. The capital maintenance recommendation for fiscal year 2026 includes $7.76 million as one-time allocation and $2.24 million as an increase in ongoing funding due to growing maintenance needs for the schools. This increase for CMS includes $9.9 million for the estimated cost to match state salary increases and benefits based on an estimated 3% salary increase. $8.3 million will fund Phase 2 of CMS's classification and compensation study, and $8 million will increase county supplements by an average of 5%. In addition to these salary increases, there is $2 million to continue a 4-year strategy to provide every student with a device, and I have already mentioned the capital maintenance. The recommended budget for CPCC includes an increase of $1.7 million for operating, or 3.6%. Capital maintenance includes a minor decrease after excluding the one-time funding proposed, or that was provided last year. Here is a summary of the funding for Central Piedmont. There is an increase of $200,000 to replace 5 maintenance vehicles. The majority of the increase for Central Piedmont is to cover the increase in cost for facility maintenance and utilities for $899,000. Facility support services are estimated to increase for insurance and legal fees in the amount of $322,000. The wages and benefit allocation from the county will increase by $301,000. The recommended budget funds CPC's request except for $823,000 that was requested to transition costs that are currently being paid by CPC's campus access, parking, and security fees, or their CAPS fees, over to the county. CAPS, which is, at one time it brought in $4.7 million. It has declined as a revenue source for CPCC since the pandemic, and the university is exploring some different options. However, the recommended budget does not include funding the shift of this cost to the county for fiscal year 2026. So in the next section, I'm going to go over the major funding increases for each agency. For the slides in this next section, I want to point out on each of the slides, we use a colored dot next to the item to denote the board's priority alignment, and you can also see the key at the bottom of the slides. Beginning with affordable housing services, the manager is recommending $2.7 million for NOAA projects. This includes $2.5 million in one-time allocation for Willow Park, as well as $237,000 for the annual payments of existing NOAA agreements. $2.6 million is recommended for critical home repair. $464,000 will provide funding to housing placement and navigation, as well as keeping families together to increase subsidies due to rising rents for multi-bedroom units. $3.6 million is recommended for asset and facility management, for increased security screening and guard services, bringing total security costs to $16.3 million. Utilities and maintenance are expected to increase by $1.2 million, a 3% increase overall. $1 million is recommended to the Revaluation Reserve Fund to prepare for the 2027 revaluation that will impact the fiscal year 2028 budget. There are 2 positions recommended for the county attorney, an associate attorney, and a legal assistant to support legal work related to land acquisition and restrictive covenants, with a budget impact of $235,000. $33,000 will support software and promotional material for Livable Meck. In community support services, $1.1 million is required to annualize the cost for Forest Point Place that came online earlier this year. $355,000 is recommended to support a veteran services needs assessment for $300,000 and $55,000 provides an additional veteran service officer in partnership with the town of Huntersville. $75,000 will support the relocation of homeless meal services, and $60,000 in one-time funding will allow the Hearts for the Invisible Coalition to operate for a full fiscal year, 2 months beyond the conclusion of the ARPA funding. $3.4 million is recommended in Child, Family, and Adult Services to expand MEC Pre-K with 10 new classrooms and increase the reimbursement rate from $925 to $950 monthly per child, and to fund increasing costs for WRAP care, which provides care before and after school hours while parents are working. $2.3 million will support expansion of in-home aid and adult daycare, adding 60 clients for in-home aid and adding 50 clients for adult daycare. The Youth Emergency Placement Facility will provide 6 emergency placements. $1.6 million is required to annualize the total cost of $2.3 million for next year. One-time funding of $416,000 is recommended to expand the fleet for Child, Family, and Adult Services. There is $358,000 for contractual increases for meals, guardianship, and interpreting services. $250,000 is recommended to hire an implementation vendor to support the first phase of the Behavioral Health Strategic Plan, and 3 social worker positions are recommended based on caseloads in adult protective services. Increases are recommended in criminal justice services to fund salary and supplement increases for court officials. $177,000 will provide one-time funding for file management and jury management systems, and $60,000 is recommended for 1 admin support assistant to help manage the front desk due to a growing number of walk-in clients. The overall cost for elections is increasing. The recommended budget includes $2.2 million in county funding to increase the base budget for elections and $1.1 million in one-time funding to support the cost for 3 elections that are scheduled for fiscal year 2026. The budget is also supported with revenue from the city for elections. $209,000 is also recommended for software upgrades and operating expenses. $197,000 will support increased costs for financial software. 2 positions are recommended in human resources, an HR specialist and a business analyst. $187,000 will support various HR contracts for software, background screening, and COBRA administration. The recommended budget for IT includes $868,000 for cybersecurity investments, $738,000 to annualize the cost of new solutions that have been implemented in the current year, $379,000 for contractual increases for various systems used by the county, and $300,000 to upgrade the software service center to leverage new technology and improve efficiencies. In Louisa, $448,000 accounts for the fee increase that will support the stormwater capital projects. $33,000 is recommended to implement a machine learning tool to streamline deed registration processing. The recommended budget for Medic includes $7 million in one-time funding for 10 new ambulances and 9 replacement units and 2 supervisor vehicles. $885,000 is recommended for technology upgrades. The recommended budget fully funds Medic's budget, and it will allow Medic to add 78 new positions. For the medical examiner, one-time funding of $200,000 will allow for transition of the director and chief forensic pathologist, and $72,000 will cover the cost to better leverage investigators to take on external exams. Within the non-departmental services, $500,000 is needed to fund the administration fees for tax and tag property tax collection. Law enforcement special separation is estimated to increase by $389,000. The manager is recommending $350,000 in one-time funding for the Charlotte Museum of History Revolutionary War exhibit, $250,000 as one-time funding for the Brighter Day Community Center to help make site improvements, and the overall cost for fleet maintenance is anticipated to increase by $275,000 for the organization. Within the Office of Economic Development, the manager is recommending $125,000 to provide event sponsorship for Charlotte Pride, based on the economic impact to the county. $90,000 will fund software costs to improve tracking and reporting of contracts, grants, and agreements. Maintenance and operating costs for greenways, open space, and amenities is recommended at $846,000, including 5 new maintenance positions. Contracted mowing costs are increasing by $355,000. The recommended budget includes 2 new administrative positions to support increased demand. $150,000 will support the maintenance and repair costs for Grady Cole, the American Legion Memorial Stadium, and a new recreation specialist is recommended to increase programming available at Eastway Rec Center. For public information, $30,000 is recommended to improve ADA access of the county's websites. For the health department, the manager is recommending $170,000 of one-time funding to upfit the Cabarrus-Rowan Community Health Center dental site at Sugar Creek. $161,000 will replace dental chairs and equipment at the Biddle Point Dental Clinic. $160,000 in one-time funding will allow nurse-family partnerships to operate for the full fiscal year 2026, 2 months beyond the conclusion of the ARPA funding. $125,000 is recommended to support the operating of Three Sisters Market. A new public health kiosk will be installed in the North Mecklenburg area for $100,000. Another $100,000 is recommended to support the Hope Community Clinic, providing primary care for uninsured residents located in East Charlotte. And $87,000 is recommended to add an additional clinician to reduce the wait list for the infant mental health program. The recommended budget includes 15 positions for the library, which will increase branch staffing and prepare for the main library opening in fiscal year 27. $1 million is included for collections, $750,000 as an increase to ongoing support, and $250,000 as a one-time increase. The increase will bring total funding for collections to $5.4 million for fiscal year 2026. And there is $60,000 recommended for various contractual increases. Within the sheriff's office, there is $893,000 for contractual increases related to food service, maintenance, and utilities. The contract for on-site inmate medical services is increasing by $260,000, and $450,000 of one-time funding is recommended to replace laptops in the field operation vehicles. And lastly, $115,000 is recommended for postage increases and legal advertising for delinquent bills in the tax office. The recommended budget includes 33 new full-time positions to meet service demands, and you can see the summary of the new positions by department here on this table. In comparison to prior budgets, the manager is recommending fewer new positions based on slowing revenue growth. The chart shows the net new full-time positions in the general fund. And as I mentioned last week, the budget includes the fewest new full-time positions since 2021. So those are the major investments in the budget. And lastly, I want to review the special service districts. 6 different law enforcement service districts provide law enforcement for the unincorporated areas of the county, or the ETJs. And this slide shows the recommended tax rates for those districts. All the tax rates are recommended to stay the same for fiscal year 2026. Any change in revenue that you see here is based on changes to the estimated values. Services provided by 4 separate agreements with Charlotte, Cornelius, Huntersville, and Pineville. The total for all the service agreements together comes to $22.7 million. The agreement with Charlotte includes McGuire Nuclear Plant. For Cornelius, this funding also includes $460,000 from the general fund for Lake Patrol on Lake Norman. And there are 5 different fire protection service districts. This slide shows the current rates compared to the proposed rates for fiscal year 2026. Rates are recommended to increase for Davidson, Mint Hill, and Huntersville based on their proposed cost to serve the ETJs. Fire protection for the Charlotte Service District includes these volunteer stations. The budget includes the proposed contract amounts, which are noted here, and these were presented to the board on April 22nd by Mr. Gujar Laputi. And so, Chairman Jarrell, that concludes the last section of my overview, and we'll answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Adrian. That was a lot to cover. Just want my colleagues to know we're going to have more than 3 minutes. Let's start out, Madam Clerk, the clock at 5 for each commissioner that may have questions. What I am going to ask colleagues is that we really try to drill down on questions more than statements, because it's going to be important for staff to get us the information that we're requesting. And so I want us to really be focused on information requests and with questions. And with that being said, I'm going to start with Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. Okay, I have a few questions. Thank you, Adrian. And I heard you guys on WFAE. You really did a good job. I appreciate it. Okay, on slide 20, Mech Pre-K, I understand, and how long do we have?
5 minutes.
I understand it's universal pre-K, we're offering it to everybody. Have we ever explored paying if they can, if they're able?
We did explore that when we first launched the program. The problem with that is that you're putting the onus on the individual centers, and they don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to collect those fees.
Okay, I just, like, this is a place where we could increase some revenue. I mean, is it out of the question if we're not going to look at it?
We did look at it when we first launched the program, and the centers do
And so
not
it's
have
out.
the capacity or the bandwidth to do it.
Okay.
Plus, I would say it's school. We don't charge
True.
kindergartners to go to school, and this is school.
Okay, and 21, these are criminal justice services. We all received an email, and we just received a letter from Judge Carla Archie asking us not to cut a couple of positions. Why were these cut?
So, and I think Sonia Harper's here as well, and she can clarify some of that. The only cut that we made to CJS was for fine collections.
Okay.
I know there were other things that were mentioned, but what we reduced out of the budget was a state function, which is collecting fines.
So explain her, did you read her letter?
We read her letter, and those positions that we gave them were for the fine collection program. Somewhere along the way, she reclassified those positions and never notified us that she did that, and that is not what the county was paying for. The county was paying for those positions specifically for fine collection. And I don't know, Sonia, if you have any more that you can give us on that.
No, I think that's an accurate summary of what happened. I think, those two positions originally, they originated in CJS several years back, and it was in fiscal year, I believe, 17, that the county no longer had interest in those positions resting within the department because, again, the work did not align with the county, and there wasn't benefit to the county. And so the courts were interested in maintaining that program and that service. So at that time, those two positions were moved into the AOC contract. But again, they were moved there with the, specifically for the fine collections program for that specific purpose.
Okay. And then on 23, and I know you said no statements, but I'm going to make a statement. In this time of cutting and raising taxes and everything, I just don't think Charlotte Pride, and I'm not going to make any friends by saying this, I just don't think it's a time to spend money on a parade. And I'm not going to make any friends. I'm not going to apologize. But I do think that I don't think that is in the best interest of the whole county. And the one-time funding for the Revolutionary War exhibit, again, it's the same reasoning. And I am sorry, but I just don't think this is the time. I just want to make that statement. And on 26 with the library, is this their request? Did we fund? I think we funded did they ask for the 15 positions? Did they get what they wanted for the new library?
They did not get everything they wanted. They asked for
quite a bit more than 15.
35 positions,
I was gonna-
40 positions.
That's right.
Okay.
But of course, we can't afford to do that.
Okay. And when we on straw vote, you'll be able to tell us, say if we actually raised it to a cent and how much money we will get, and you'll be
That's
able
correct.
to adjust all that for us,
Yes,
right?
We will do that in real time as
And-
you all approve decisions.
Right, okay.
So you can see what-
And that's all.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Let's go with Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. So my first question is, describe the library collections funding, because I don't just explain that to me, because I thought we didn't charge for collections. Or maybe I'm just not understanding the language.
Yeah, so this is for the replacement of books as well as digital resources that are available online. And so for many years, we have funded we've used some fund balance for one-time collections. We've done that over and over again. This is $1 million with $750,000 as ongoing and $250,000 is one time.
So it's just to replace books.
It is, some of that is replacement, a lot of that is also digital content.
Okay, that helps. Just for the words, infant mental health program. Can you explain that?
I think Renard would probably be better to.
We have a program where we provide behavioral health services to very young children. And we are probably one of the only, if you want to come up, Abe, but we're one of the only places that actually provides behavioral health services to very young children. And we actually have a waiting list of children that are very small that do need behavioral health intervention.
I just wondered, because infant is, infant.
Yeah, they are infants. They're under the age of 3. So these are kids who are, in most cases, referred to the Children's Developmental Services Agency for services, but don't meet the threshold to qualify for early intervention services. They don't have developmental delays, but they've been exposed to some type of trauma in their life. In most cases, that's resulted in them needing to have services delivered through a therapist or a clinician. Most clinicians only serve kids over the age of 3 or 4 in the county. So there really is no other place to refer them to. And so we started this program with ARPA a couple years ago. And as the manager mentioned, we have a waiting list.
Thank you for that. I thought maybe it was postpartum, which is why I asked.
It's actually for the child.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure.
I'll just jump into my big priority is in the update on our current budget, you said that we have, we're replacing 12 ambulances, replacement ambulances. And in our new budget, we have 10 ambulances, correct?
There are 10 ambulances and 9 remounts, so remounting a chassis, which will allow them to use them.
So the new budget has 10 new ambulances and 9 remounts.
That's right, and 2 supervisor vehicles.
Okay. All right, and will that make us whole on ambulances?
So that funds medics' request.
Yeah, but I wonder, does it make us whole?
JP's here.
Yeah, JP, do you want to speak to that?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. So it makes us whole for today. And over the period of the next few years, we're going to be looking at what we need to do to grow and in order to maintain level of service as we grow with the community.
I appreciate that, because as the explosive growth happens and the infrastructure isn't there, it's just a lower quality of life. And I appreciate your dedication to making sure we're whole.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the start
Thank
of a
you.
multi-year plan. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then my last question is the $355,000 for the commitment to a veteran's needs assessment, because you know how the narrative is. The narrative in North Mecklenburg is that they think that this is approved, but please describe what this is.
So 300,000 is for the needs assessment, and then we're partnering with Huntersville, and this is a partial year funding for the position to help support it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Madam
You
Manager.
want to do it?
Go ahead.
So we had a meeting with representatives from the town, and we have an agreement that we are going to do the needs assessment because our department, Community Support Services, really wants to understand what the needs of veterans are throughout the whole county to make sure that we use our resources in the best way possible. But as an interim solution, the county and the town have agreed to share the cost of a veteran service officer in Huntersville until we finish the assessment and understand what the needs are countywide.
And that starts in this next fiscal year.
As soon as they, January.
So this January.
She'll explain more.
Thank you. Thank you. This is really important.
And I'll tell you, they were definitely amenable to the solution that was proposed.
Thank you.
So the agreement was to have 6 months funding for a veteran service officer for the town of Huntersville to coincide with the opening of the new town hall in January. We will kick off the needs assessment in July, and we'll have something complete probably in about 9 to 10 months.
Thank you. And that concludes my questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Leek.
Number one, we are here is purchasing vans and what have you. Are we purchasing these from Mecklenburg County or outside of the county?
So I think, Mark Hahn, can you speak to where the vans are purchased from?
JP may know more about that. They buy their own vans.
Oh, vans for EMS?
Whomever we're providing funds for vans and support.
Okay. So where are you getting ambulances from? We are providing some vans for CFAS.
But I'm saying if we're providing transportation and we're providing funds, are we asking these people to purchase within the confines of Mecklenburg County?
Well, normally they're a low bid contract, and so you have to take, if I'm wrong here, Mark, correct me, but we have to buy low bid, so we take them when they're the cheapest price that meet our specifications.
Some of these contracts are with neighboring cities, not too far, like Winston-Salem, that kind of thing. But yeah, some of them are out of Mecklenburg County because of the low bid contract.
I'm concerned about the tax rate that would go somewhere else. So that's a major concern. My second concern is supplement for teachers under the education component. And I've asked for a breakdown of salaries for administrative staff for the school system. And I have not gotten that either. So I'd like to know the supplement with teachers' salary, what will it be based upon what we're providing and what the state is providing?
Okay, so the supplement will be different for all the teachers. We'll need to follow back with.
I can't hear you.
The supplement will be different for different positions depending on their tenure, but we'll need to get with CMS to get exactly what you're looking for.
Will it bring the salaries up as it relates to staff, teachers?
It will.
Not administrative people?
These supplements are for the teachers.
Yes, for the teachers, but I'm saying, will it increase their salary?
Yes.
By how much?
I don't know exactly. The average supplement increase is an average of 5%.
Based on what?
The supplemental increase is average of 5%.
A 5% is from us.
Yes,
That's what we're providing.
that's correct.
What is the state providing?
So the state hadn't finalized their budget, but we're estimating 3%.
But they don't provide any supplement.
That's right.
They provide salary increases, but remember when Dr. Hill was here, we are one of the only few counties in the state that don't get that state-funded supplement. So I just want to make sure that that's clear.
But once we look at the administrative team salary versus the teacher's salary increase, I'd like to know.
Okay.
Veterans. Are veterans receiving support from the government?
I believe they do, but I'll let Stacy.
Depending on their years of service and any service-connected disability, veterans would be provided benefits from the federal government, from the Veterans Administration, and our staff help them to access that.
So that costs us for administration, right?
We have staff that do that, so yes, we have.
Based on the county?
Staff in the county that help our veterans to access the benefits in which they are entitled to, correct?
From the federal government?
Correct.
All right. My next question is, families who are recipients of funds through the school system and through welfare, how many families do we have on these askings through the school system, after-school programs, whatever? How many families are still there and have been there? You may not have it, but the system would have it.
We'll have to follow up with CMS to get that for you.
And my concern is, are the same families always receiving these funds and stay on the askings process? But we wouldn't have that information.
We do not. We can try to get it
So
for
we
you.
just providing the money. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a short 5 minutes.
Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the detailed, sorry, my son was calling. For the detailed recommended funding, but the questions that I have and that I took time forming out were from the 2026 reductions and elimination summary that you sent us twice. So I'm going to start my questions there. And I tried to keep up with where it related to on the funding page, but I couldn't do so, and I'm not going to be able to do so in the 5 minutes that I have. The first one that I want to touch on is to CFAS, elimination of the contract with CMS, and this is for CMS mental health supervisors and educational liaisons through the CFAS budget, and you're saying that they could use the money where they've been funded, but I'm asking if they were fully funded and they anticipate that that money was already there and now they have to juggle and use it for something else, are we really fully funding them? Why are we cutting that amount? It's $656,091.
Correct. So this is a legacy agreement where, in addition to providing CMS the $666 million that you're providing through the operating budget, there was funding being provided through Child, Family, and Adult Services. We do believe that there's opportunity, if this was a priority for them, that they could fund it, but we're reducing the one contract while also increasing funding for CMS.
So basically, they're not anticipating that this money will be taken away. We can't say that it's not necessarily a priority, and it is a priority for the board, mental health services for children. So I truly have a question with that.
So these are for supervisors. So these are not people who are providing mental health services to children. In addition to that, CMS has vacancies that they can use to put these people into to continue to provide those services if they so choose to do so.
Okay. I just want to know because it specifically says mental health, and I just want to make sure that we're not excluding mental health for children. We already need additional. So
Right, we're not
away.
reducing mental health services. These are supervisors.
Okay. Moving on to reductions to foster care support programs based on underutilization. Reduction is about $350,000. And there were a number of places where it was like underutilization or unspent funds. And I really would like to know why the funds were underspent or why there was underutilization. It doesn't seem like anything that has to do with foster care or with children, education, or food should ever be cut. We should be looking at why it is that there's an overage, if there is any, and determining why that is, because it seems like there's something wrong with the system, like we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So
can we have Kim Henderson please come to the podium and address that question?
And I've got so many more questions, so maybe, instead of answering them one by one, I'm going to eat up my 5 minutes. I've got a lot of questions.
Okay,
Or
well,
unless
she
we're
can
gonna
stand
get
by and
around
answer
to-
your questions when you're finished.
Page 20 on that slide, here, another reduction to CFAS. Reduction is based on the reduced need for outside emergency placement for children in CFAS in custody. reduction in emergency placement contracts in the amount of $187,000. Again, emergency, I'm guessing that there's some kind of supplement, but I can't imagine that there will be no reduction in services if we're moving that amount from that budget. I also wanted to see the the court stuff that you explained, that was already asked, but in all due fairness, I sat through two of the requests from the court system, and it was ridiculous, the amount that what they were doing with so little. So if they had to adjust and move positions around to accommodate what I call that a make-do budget, which I've lived on all my life. So having to move those positions around because it no longer fit the model, I don't think that is justification for removing those salaries, if that makes sense. That just scratched the surface for me.
Go ahead, Kim.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Terrell, Commissioners. Appreciate your question, questions, Commissioner Townsend Ingram. So if I could back up just a little, in terms of the reductions that you see as they specifically pertain to foster care within CFAS, everyone know that we have taken a very close look at our contractual arrangements with our emergency placement vendors and other providers that we utilize and have utilized historically. No child is going to not be served. We studied through, frankly, the infusion of new leadership and new strategic focus around how we spend our dollars effectively within CFAS. We focused on evaluating our entire slate of contracts, and we utilized what we believe is a very objective set of scoring rubric and mechanisms to understand how the funds were being spent. So in many of our provider contracts, we pay bed retainer fees. So this is money that we pay month over month, regardless of whether they actually are taking our children, providing services for our children. And then we pay a fee when they actually do have our children in their care that is actually higher than the bed retainer rate. So what we did was we pulled down the data from all of these providers in terms of our bed retainer fees. That's the utilization piece. We haven't cut any costs around actual children that end up being placed and served. It's that ongoing flat fee for service for availability of beds that we looked at, and we tracked how many of these providers are actually, hypothetically, if we have 6 beds, if we know over the past year we've only had 3 placed consistently and consecutively over the period of a year, we felt comfortable being able to propose a reduction in that retainer rate to the tune of 2 or 3 beds. And so that's what we did across all of our contracts. So we have, in my opinion, taken a very strategic approach to how we are spending the significant investment the commissioners have made into youth and family services. And the providers in this space couldn't really refute the data. Okay. And we're actually in the process of working through the draft contracts now, pending final board approval. But again, these are bed retainer rates, not the actual fees that we pay for the placements once the need is actualized for a specific child.
Kim, I just want to add, in addition to what you just explained, Commissioner, we also added $1.2 million to open up our own emergency placement facility.
Yes.
And so instead of using those facilities that we reduce, we're using our own facility. And so we are not reducing the amount of emergency placements here in Mecklenburg County.
Thank you.
Can you also speak to the foster care, the cut in the foster care line? foster care support programs based on underutilization. I think that was
Yes,
the other one that was
the
asked.
one she just
300,
explained.
the
So she talked about the
350,
reduction in emergency placement contracts.
yes, and the services for pre-custody involved families. So we have other funding streams that can be leveraged to provide this level of support. And so it really was looking at this particular line, the level of spending and expenses drawn down from that line, whereas we have other funding streams that we have used to support those families.
Thank you for that. I've got so many more questions, but hopefully there'll be a second round.
We'll come back. We'll come back. If you could just get your question, get them together so that we can make it happen. Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell, excuse me, restart her time. But just colleagues, so you know, we will do a second round. If everybody would just get their questions together so that we could be ready on that second round. Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell.
Thank you very much. I can't even, there's so many things. I wanted to co-sign on what Commissioner Townsend Ingram said about the court positions. I'm still hazy on that, so I would hope we can revisit that. But maybe not right now. Maybe I need a little bit more in-depth understanding of what y'all explained. It just didn't work for me, the explanation. Can we go to page 9 on the presentation, please? This is around fund balance. So if, well, actually, on page 10, it's showing the historic amounts of fund balance. And the thing I'm trying to figure out is, you know, the total fund balance that's remaining after we spend out of fund balance, is it pretty much the same across all those years? Like at the 32, like this time on page 9, it says we'll be at 32%. Is that pretty much where it is across? Is that sort of where we're most comfortable? Is that why you don't spend down the other 66?
So it remains around, David's nodding yes, it remains around the 32%, pretty much year after year.
That's the AAA bond rating?
Well,
thing?
yeah, I mean, you do have that 65 million, but, you know, we want to make sure, like we had during COVID, when we did use fund balance to actually balance the budget, because we were very concerned about revenue, to make sure that you have that available to use in case we have that again. As we know, the economy is getting a little bit soft, and wanted to leave you some room in the future if you needed to draw down fund balance to make sure that we can continue to maintain services. Because you can see that we did have larger fund balance numbers over the years, and you really encouraged us to spend it.
Right.
And we've spent it. And
Yes.
so now we have to, I think, be a little bit more mindful of how much we actually draw down.
Yeah. I totally get that. And I'm wondering if part of the reason why it's so much lower right now, is it because we're getting better at forecasting and budgeting our actual expenses instead of letting them accumulate in fund balance?
Yes, I think that's a really good point. We've not been generating as much fund balance at the end of each year that we had been, particularly because of the way we budget salaries now. We don't fully budget salaries, and so that has resulted in our end-of-year surpluses actually being significantly lower.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that is a trade-off, and it's something, as if you've been on the board for, you know, a number of years, you begin to understand that process and the pros and cons. So thank you for that. On page 19, Adrian, talking about the security and weapons screening at 3.5 million, what can someone really quickly, maybe I don't want to do, I want to get my questions in and then I'll let you answer, so that way I don't lose time. The 3.5 million, it's a huge amount in this budget, in this tight budget. And then on page 20, I'm really, you know, kind of concerned, not concerned, I really believe in investing in pre-K. I really believe that it is a long time payoff and it saves money in the long run. And it's not only just about saving money, it's about really investing in children, and I 1,000% believe in that. But when I look at that, and I also look at the in-home aid and adult daycare, these new investments, actually, at the beginning of the presentation where it shows new investments, I believe it's at, is it 14 million?
9.
Not, is it 9? Okay. I just wonder if this is the right time for these new investments at this speed or rate. I'm wondering if maybe we should cut back on that while we support some of the things that we already are doing. And so that's something that I'm questioning, and I'd love to hear my colleagues on their thinking around that. You know, does it seem like it's right to do these new investments while we're, you know, cutting some of our existing? So
I think Mark Hahn can come up and talk about the security investments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Diorio. So that 3.5 million breaks down into several different figures. So I'm going to go through each one of those. First of all, we haven't had a rebid of our guard services contracts for about 5 years. So we had to go through a rebid situation now. And the rates have gone up considerably since we started those 5 years ago. That amounted to about 2.4 million of that increase. So that was the majority of it. With regard to weapons screening, that was the remaining amount. So there was about a little over $1 million to place new guards in new locations that we're going to be doing weapons screening. So that was another $1 million. And then the remaining about $156 million was simply for equipment. Basically, it's the Evolve units that are the screening stations that you walk through. So that's the 3.5.
Okay. And is this due to a threat level that we're?
This is part of a plan that was approved starting back in 2020 when we looked at increased threat level, you know, across the board. Active shooter was really the impetus for this, and the more of those happening. At that time, it was a Virginia Beach shooting that started the whole process. It's just been a long time to implement this, but we're finally coming to the, you know, near the end of it.
And in our employee climate survey, the one thing we hear from employees all the time is that they don't feel safe at our facilities. So.
At all of our facilities, did you say, or did you say park facilities?
No, all of our facilities.
All of it, okay.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the pre-K, I will say that we haven't expanded pre-K in a number of years. We've been flat in terms of the number of classrooms that we've had. And going into next fiscal year, we are finally seeing child care centers in our big gap areas come forward and want to participate. So it's an opportunity for us to expand access in places where we don't have MEC pre-K classrooms right now. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is that the cost to provide the service is also going up. So we're going to be increasing the rate that we pay per child per month so that we can continue to provide the high level of service and educational quality that we currently provide. And that is also true with the wrap care, the before and after school care, which is really important for families to be able to put their kids in full day pre-K so that they can go to work. So it is critically important.
I'm going to move to Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Slide number 4, right where you're located. Adrian, to give you the context, I don't support the tax increase. So what I'm looking at is how to find the $29 million, and I'm not going to be a Elon Musk. I don't have a chainsaw, so I need a scalpel to kind of drill down to see where we can make some trades during the straw vote period. So go to slide 7. Slide 7 talks about federal revenues. It says federal funding reimbursement primarily for health and human services. Is that by contract or entitlement or grants? How do I carve that out into those 3 buckets? For example, if it's by contract, it's just by contract. But is it a grant, something we applied for?
So the majority of that are going to be reimbursement for doing administration, but it's a whole host of different revenues. We do get federal grants, but in our operating budget, there may be some, but a lot of that is reimbursement for administering programs.
What will be helpful, Adrian and County Manager, if I can get little spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets about that $100 million, because if there's some consideration about what Donald Trump's going to do, I want to know if that's all exposed, 30% exposed, 10% exposed, et cetera, so that we can answer that question as relates to Donald Trump and what the federal government's going to do. If it's grants, et cetera, or just contractual stuff that if you do X, you'll get Y. So if you can give me a spreadsheet on what that $107 million look like, $102 million look like in different buckets, that would be helpful, unless all of it's by contract. On slide number 12, hold up, slide number 9, yeah, the fund balance piece. Question says that $66 million above our $66 million that'll get us at the 32%, not the 28%. So that's just there in case the economy goes bonkers or whatever it is.
That or some of those issues that you mentioned before, how the fund balance is available to be appropriated by the board at any time if there is risk or if there are opportunities.
So if I wanted to say no tax increase but 29 million out of fund balance, what am I putting at risk? Because I'll have an additional 30-some million left. Dina?
You're creating another structural deficit, which we already have, because we started the year with a $14.7 million structural deficit, which is why we cut $13.8 million out of the budget, which you all directed us to do at your retreat. Everybody raised their hand. So by cutting $29 million this year, when Mike comes back next year and tries to do his budget for fiscal year 27, he's going to have a $29 million budget gap. So that would be something that would...
So I don't understand structural deficits.
Well, it means that when you use non-recurring revenue...
No, okay.
Right?
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. In terms of the 533...
What's 5?
That's 32% in terms of fund balance, right? And there's an opportunity to use $30 million. It's a structural deficit because it's annualized in terms of ongoing revenue that's not available the next year.
Correct. So you're going to start the year with a gap.
Okay, all right. I understand. Okay.
But isn't it 28% at the red line there?
28% is
The 533,
Yeah.
not 32%.
Right. So the red line here, that is the 28% threshold. The 32% is what is available after, if you include the manager's recommendation.
Excuse me 1 second.
Take it on my time.
Yeah, I'd like,
Apologies, but I thought it was a mistake.
So that, you're correct.
stop his time, please.
Well-
What I'd like to do is just make sure he gets his time back, please.
Minute.
Thank you. Okay, all right, thank you. The next slide is the 12. Is 12 the next slide? Oh, yeah, 12. The facilities, counties, and schools splits 11 cents, 57. Can you split that out, the 1157, to what part of that is county, what part of that school?
Possibly, we'd have to go back and take a look to see what that is. The 1157 goes to fund your debt service fund, which covers all of that, including the maintenance as well as the pay-as-you-go.
Okay. I'm really looking at the maintenance piece for schools in terms of if that's in there. If the 32 million in there?
It is.
Okay, I'm looking to pull that out and see what the difference would be. Okay. That's it?
So I think Anthony wanted to address your question about the federal revenue quickly. Thank you, Anthony.
Sure. Yes, Commissioner. The majority of that funds that you were asking about is administrative reimbursement to administer some of the federal programs, such as income maintenance that you routinely talk about, Medicaid, SNAP, child welfare, all of the big programs that we administer on behalf of the federal government. We receive a federal match to administer those programs, as well as some funds for our administrative overhead. So say Medicaid, we receive 50% federal match for salaries for our employees that administer that program.
So would it be conceivable if they cut Medicaid in half that your administrative costs would be lower?
Yes.
Okay.
If they cut Medicaid in half, then we wouldn't need,
Okay.
we also would not need all the employees.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. All right, next, slide 14.
Hold on one second.
Okay, you said 1 minute.
No. It's one follow-up.
Okay. Okay.
One follow-up. We're going to go back to the top of the lineup. Let me go back to Commissioner Meyer. You're going to get 3 minutes on this round.
Okay, thank
We're
you.
going to go in the same order that we went in the first time.
Thank you. Can you tell me how much money total we've saved by cutting, what we cut in nonprofits? That's my first question. And I also want to reiterate the court positions. I'm not clear about that, and maybe an email would suffice. That would be fine if I could get clear on that. Community service grants. This really bothers me. How much, can you remind me how much money we're saving by cutting the community service grants?
So first for nonprofits, it is $6,260,450. Community service grants, it is $2,013,060.
And about this community service grants, how far had your, I think it's your staff, right, that goes through all the applications, and how far had you gotten to that point when it was decided?
We never actually looked at the results of the analysis, so we never, I mean, the staff did a lot of the work, but we never reviewed them.
You mean, what do you mean? You mean leadership never reviewed them?
Nope, never reviewed them.
At what point? Like, what point was that decision made?
That was shortly after the board had instructed the manager to look for reductions, and we had begun the process of making reductions throughout the budget, and we realized that it was going to impact some nonprofits. And so with that consideration in mind, we thought perhaps it wasn't best to start up new nonprofits with the CSG program.
Okay, and I guess it bothers me the most because all these organizations come in and some are hoping for a second or third year, and they just got told, and what I would like to propose, what I will propose is bringing that back for 1 year, giving them the warning that things might be changing. I just wish they would have gotten a warning ahead of time.
Well, I think they did if they were watching the retreat and the board made it clear they wanted us to cut. And the first thing that I said was that we were going to look at nonprofits.
I understand that.
So to say that they had no warning, I don't think is totally accurate.
Okay. Oh, and I have a note. I don't know what it means. I think I'll have to give up most of my time.
I'll do first.
Okay.
I'll do first. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of this, but I would just like to get a map of the gap areas that are going to be getting the 10 new classrooms for MEC Pre-K. Because I know I have gap areas in my district, so I'm hoping that they're in my district.
They are. They're in the northern part and the southern parts of the county.
Thank you.
I can get the list of the centers for you.
I appreciate that. And that's my only question right now.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Leek.
Yes. Help me find the information for senior citizens repair work.
So the senior citizens repair work is in the affordable housing service. It is $2.5 million, $2.6 million for critical home repair.
Is that specifically geared toward the seniors, or that's the full budget?
It is for repairs to homes that will allow seniors to stay within their homes.
Just for them?
That's correct.
I'd like to have a senior citizen's statement from the budget as relates to in-home services, food, if possible. Housing, daycare, those three items.
Okay. So for services to seniors, which of course is one of the board's priorities, in total, in the budget, there's 36.
What page are you reading from?
I'm reading from my notes. So it's $36.5 million. There is $6.3 million of new funding. 2.6 of that is critical home repair. 1.1 is the annualization of Forest Point. 1.3 million is for in-home aid for 60 new clients, and 1.1 is for the adult daycare. And then we have 3 social workers, 226,000 that will be supporting adult protective services.
3 added social workers?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's the new funding that is included in the recommended budget for seniors.
And that's a total of how much?
The total was, once you add the $6.3 million of new funding, that brings the total to $36.5 million overall.
Do we have information pertaining to 5 boards that we provide? I don't see. Number 1 is Arts and Science Council, and there are 4 others. What are those committees? What are those boards that we provide? I don't see here at all.
So for the Arts and Science Council, there's no change in the funding. I believe the total funding for the Arts and Science Council, which is then provided as grants and other programs, is $9.5 million.
$9.5 million?
That's correct.
Okay, over what they received last year?
No, it's not an increase. That's just the base amount. There's no increase for Arts and Science Council included in the recommended budget.
What are the other 4? I keep asking
I'm not sure
about
which
these
4.
boards.
I'm not sure which 4 you're referring to, so can you help?
Smith is chairman of one of them.
We don't provide any funding to that.
I'm sorry.
Well, we provide $500,000 for Charlotte Shout, which is managed by Charlotte Center City Partners.
Thank you, and thank you. Did you ring the bell?
She did.
Which one rang the bell?
Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so evidently I was in my feelings when I was marking this up because I marked it up pretty good, but I've cut it down to 3. I want to go, though, to one of the biggest ones that I have, and I know everybody has probably received this email and several requests about the cut of $792,500 to Crisis Assistance Ministry. I want to know, again, so about 10 years ago, I was working as a substitute teacher in the education system, and I made about $11.50 an hour and could not at that time get a second job. So there were, I'd say, at least 3 times when I had to go to Crisis Assistance Ministry to keep some of my utilities from getting turned off. They wouldn't do mortgages, but my point is that I know that there are teachers, there are professionals, there are people that, it cuts into their dignity to have to stand out in that line to prevent something from getting shut off. And so any type of cut whatsoever to crisis, I just think is boring. I can't understand it. So please help me understand that cut. And then I'd like really an explanation about our portion of the Quality of Life Explorer, because I use that all the time. And I can live with even though Unite Charlotte program was created for racial disparities, and that's one of our cross-cutting themes, we'll leave that for another time. But the court costs that were being cut, Crisis Assistant Ministry, and the cuts to the school. Oh, and there was $518,000 for SYDKIMYL, which I don't know what that is. Sid Kimmel. Those were the major things that I had questions about.
Commissioner, why don't you ask your question about Unite Charlotte? You got time.
Okay. Unite Charlotte is a program that's supposed to be specifically about racial disparities And that's a huge amount. Pretty much you're eliminating the program. So Unite Charlotte, that's, I've lost my page. It was over $1 million. Our whole theme for all of our priorities is through a lens of racial equity. So if we're cutting a primary program that is specifically for racial equity, how are we doing that?
So for Unite
How we
Charlotte,
justifying it?
Why don't you let Anthony talk about Sid Kimmel first,
Okay. Well,
and crisis assistance as well.
Yep. So for the crisis assistance program, all of the emergency assistance funding was not touched. And that's what you were referring to as assistance that you received from crisis. They created an additional program over and above the emergency assistance programs that focus on economic mobility. So the funding was supporting staff to work with clients, but it was not supporting the benefits that we provide for emergency assistance. So that was the crisis cut. And as far as the Sid Kimmel cut, this was a value-add program that we began during the pandemic, where kids were not in school, and they were providing social emotional support for kids out of school in the community. Once kids went back to school, the social and emotional support is primarily provided by CMS, which we fund. And so this was on
That was
top.
just the line that was cut out of that, she said was for supervisors, so we're still cutting. Again, I really can't see justification for cutting. You're saying that it's not needed, but again, it reminds me of men sitting on a board telling women what they don't need for gynecological stuff. It just seems like the folks that are actually in the trenches should know where the money is and where it's needed.
Well, I actually didn't say that because that's a different program that you were referring to, where we were paying for supervisors. This was a nonprofit that, again, we funded during the pandemic.
Right.
Fast forward, it was value add. And as Kim Henderson talked about, they assessed all of their contracts and they made recommendations for reduction where there was value add or where there was priority responsibilities of the county.
In terms of Unite Charlotte, Unite Charlotte was serving 3 cohorts, and this reduction will allow them to still fund and work with 2 cohorts. So while it looks like a large cut, they're still going to be able to work with many nonprofits in the community. And while it is focused on racial disparities, it's really focused also on capacity building. And that's been a very successful part of the program. But what I will say is that when we deployed well over $100 million of ARPA money to nonprofits in this community, we have built capacity in the nonprofit community more than anybody has ever done so in the history of Mecklenburg County. So I feel like we've done a tremendous amount to build capacity of our nonprofit community here in our county. And, the other thing I would say is, if you want to add all this back in, you can add it all back in. You're just going to have to increase the tax rate. So we're not going to argue about the value of any of these reductions. It's up to the board to get their 5 votes to add all of this back. I just want to say again, when we were at the retreat, everybody around the dais raised their hand and said, go cut deep. And what I said was we are going to go and look at all the nonprofits that we fund because there's no other money to cut. We've cut $218 million out of county operations in the last 10 years. There is no more money to cut. That's an area that has been basically unscathed in my entire tenure here in Mecklenburg County. We've never cut a nonprofit in my tenure in Mecklenburg County. Now is the time to look at where we spend those dollars and to make recommendations to the board about where we think it makes the most sense. Again, if you don't like the cuts, then you can vote to put them all back in. But we were doing what we were directed to do by the board.
Thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this conversation is, we did raise our hands and to have you look and make your recommendations on what needed to be cut. So we got your recommendations, and now this is our time to decide on what things we absolutely believe we can't live without. So it's not a fight, it's a little bit of a push and pull here. On page 21, Adrian, the FY '26 elections, 5.5 million. Is this like new funding, or is this like always in the budget every year, or this is like a spike?
So part of this is new money, and that is because the cost of elections have gone up. And of course, the board had to do an amendment earlier this year because of some of that cost. Part of it is a one-time funding that we do from time to time, and that's because of the number of elections that you have coming up in the next fiscal year. And so we use some one-time funding so you're not just up and down with the election cycle. Michael Dickerson is here as well if you've got more questions and detail about elections.
Okay, let me park that for a sec. I just really was curious if that was all new funding, or if that, some of that was existing funding and you're just pointing out, so is that new?
This is
5.5 is
this
new?
is new money.
Okay.
But a portion of it is also fund balance to kind of smooth out because of that 3-year.
Okay, so it won't be recurring, is what you're saying when you say fund
That's
balance?
correct.
Okay, gotcha, thank you. And then on page 23, the $350,000 for a Revolutionary War exhibit, is this the one that's like starting next week? Are we talking about one that is in this fiscal year, but paying for it in next fiscal year? What's the story with
No,
this?
this is, the one that's starting next week is a MeckDec exhibit. This is a new exhibit that Charlotte Museum of History is bringing, hoping to bring to Charlotte, that is actually an augmented reality exhibit on the American Revolution, and we are the only museum within a 6-hour radius that will have this exhibit. And so we included it here because one of the things that we believe, same thing for Charlotte Pride, is that there's economic development benefits through tourism and other things to have these types of activities here in Mecklenburg County. And so there is an economic development benefit to doing it. And in terms of Pride, there's a real concern that Pride will go away without some additional funding. We've talked to Meredith a few times about that. And also, she's provided me with an economic impact report of her event and the economic benefits that it brings to the county. And so that was the other reason that we included that.
Go with your follow-up.
And the other thing about the American Revolutionary War exhibit, it is a one-time expense. It's not ongoing. It's one time.
That means it's found a balance. Okay. I also wanted to ask about the tax and tag on that same page.
So tax and tag is when the state switched over to property tax collection on the tag of the vehicle, it's associated with the registration. There is an administrative cost that we have to pay for that. It's a portion of it. And this is actually the cost that we have to pay for. There's more cost, but this is an increase in cost to it. Not an increase in the fee, but it's increased over time.
So it's not a state responsibility, it is our responsibility?
Yes, we have to pay this.
Okay, thank you.
Are you good, Commissioner?
Oh, I'm not good, but I've used up all my time, so I'm good for now.
Good is relative. How
That's
about that?
exactly right.
Okay. Commissioner Griffin.
Adrian, going back to slide number 4. This is $75 million out of $2.5 billion budget, and we kind of wrestling over all this stuff. But in terms of the straw vote, see where it says 12.9 million, sustaining operations, facilities, securities, contracts, and services. When I talked to you 2 years ago, trying to understand the budget, you indicated that grants were shown in the blue, the grants. And after a 3-year period, some of those would fold into the agency or department's budgets as vendors.
Oh, so you're referring to CSGs, and CSGs are always green, meaning the green ones are the ones that you have complete discretionary if you're referring to our choice matrix.
Yeah.
That has been the process with the CSGs is there is an opportunity for those after 3 years. They're no longer eligible to compete for a CSG, but they can compete to become a vendor.
Anyway, in addition to the request about the federal revenue stuff, you know, if the one statement that Mr. Trotman made covers all of that, meaning their administrative costs, there's no need to deal with that, because if the program goes down or shrinks, the administrative costs should go down. Okay, but if there's something different, then I need to look at what goes under that federal revenue. We have $100 million, $102 million.
Right.
I need to look at that, if it's different than what Mr. Trotman said. The second piece is about the vendor piece, going from grantees to vendors. Where can I find, because I'm looking at this book, is United Way in here somewhere on the page? Because last year, Dana, when you raised United Way for $1 million, I voted against that. And I think you said that United Way was a 5-year deal, $1 million a year, because they were standing up a nonprofit and doing a report on a home strategy that the business community, the public sector, private sector. So is that one of the contracts or services that's somewhere in the budget?
Yeah, that's the Home for All, but that, we fund that with fund balance. Is that right?
That's right. That's transfer in.
Because after 5 years, it will go away, and so it's funded with fund balance.
Okay. Are there contracts and services that are in the agency budget that's not reflected? And I'll give you an example. Yvette mentioned Yvette mentioned something about this contract for $500,000 from, what did you call it? Sid Kimball or something? Sid Kimball. And in the description on page 2, it said that they're no longer doing behavioral health, but they are doing tutoring. So how do I get a copy of contracts that are still alive, that are doing things like tutoring or whatever it is that I don't have visibility on? So that when we get ready to do horse trading, if I don't like this contract with tutoring, I can put that in the mix for trade. So where are those contracts?
So we have thousands of contracts
Okay.
throughout the county.
Well, they did say $2.5 billion
Right.
budget.
That's right. And what we do in the budget book, and you'll find the choice matrix on 44, it's broken out by program or distinct programs that are providing a distinct service. They may be using contracts in order to help meet that service. So it's not down to that level of just all the individual contracts within the county.
I know, but you're forcing me to look at $75 million basically here, and you got a $2.5 billion budget. So there may be some things that the manager found in here to cut that I wasn't aware of. But she was aware of it because it's in the existing ongoing budget. So how do I get a glimpse at some of these programs? Because I might want to do the same thing that the manager was doing, is cut more of those programs in order to get to the 29 million. And Madam Manager, as you recall, during the retreat, I was talking about not having SMART goals and dealing with results and outcomes. And what I said, basically, if they're not effective, you absolutely cut.
And that's what we presented to you here. So if we didn't present it for a reduction, it means from a staff perspective that we think they're effective and they're doing their job. We did make cuts to nonprofits, but we still fund many, 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 many nonprofits. So if you want to look at every nonprofit that we fund, that is not something that we can provide to you between now and the straw vote. It's just not possible.
But understand this.
You want to go back in and look at the base budget from the beginning, from the bottom up. And I think that if that's something that you'd want to do, I think you need to start that in July and do it over the course of a 12-month period. That's not something that we can do in the next week.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So I do know, and we do have time, and we're doing the people's business, so we're going to use our time. 2019 privilege, means that Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell goes next.
2019 privilege. What? Okay, I'm not tracking, but I'll take it. Thank you.
2018 privilege, excuse me.
FY 2019.
Go ahead and give him 3 minutes. Because we've got Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell, I know Townsend Ingram, Commissioner Leak, everybody. So go through. Sorry. I thought some people shook their heads no, but go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. One question that I have based on our discussion here is, are we competing with Crisis Assistance Ministry? Like you said that the $792,500 isn't dollars that we're providing to help people. It's the staff that these are staff positions. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so we are saying you can have the money that you're providing to the community, but we're not going to help you get it out because we want you to go to our CRC, or I'm trying to understand that. Hold your answer until I say my other piece, which is I'm really struggling with the museum exhibition and the parade because I'm just really feeling that right now when government is in a squeeze, like a shortfall situation, that we really need our corporate partners to stand up and fill in these times when they're making, record profits, over us. They're getting tax breaks, they're getting all this stuff, and we're still funding, a Revolutionary War exhibit. I'm not going to be able to support that. I 1,000% support Pride and having their parade, but I think $125,000 is just too much when we're cutting other nonprofits that are, providing services. I can't. This is just I'm just letting you all know that I'm not going to be able to support that full amount, and I think it breaks my heart to say that, but I think that we need to ask some other people to step up in this space. Sorry, go ahead.
For crisis, there were two programs. There were the emergency assistance programs, for like emergency rental assistance and other funds for emergency needs. We provide administrative funding as well as funding for rent and utilities and the like. So that's one program. So we do provide the administrative overhead. That includes funding for those programs. This other program was a new program they created a few years ago to provide support for upward mobility. So I believe we funded maybe 7 or 8 staff, and they would work with families to assess their needs and then to develop a plan for them to have upward mobility. It's similar to the MEC Success program.
Can you put a pin in that and tell me how much we're paying per family on MEC Success? If, not right this minute, but later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Leak.
Thank you. I'm looking at Cabarrus Rowan Community Health Center. Why are we supporting that?
They have a clinic here in Mecklenburg County that they stood up 2, maybe 3 years ago, and are providing health care to uninsured people in our county and are doing a very, very good job. They want to expand their dental program, which is very important. So it is in Mecklenburg County, even though their name says Cabarrus Rowan.
Well, if that's the case, what about Biddle Point Dental Cares?
That also is a program that we have, but that program only serves children. And Cabarrus Rowan actually serves adults, which is a real gap area.
System, they don't have this.
I'm sorry?
Through the school system, they do not have the dental program.
They do not.
Help me understand the Three Sisters market increase from what to what?
So right now it's 0, and the proposal is to give them $125,000 to continue to pay their market manager. They're actually making a lot of progress on being able to bring that market up, but they need to have their market manager on staff to be able to continue to bring the program to life. And so since they're not currently in operation, they don't have ongoing revenue to pay their market manager.
And that's going to help the food desert
Yes, it is.
in the west side.
Yes.
Thank you. That's it for me, other than the information I need from the salaries of those persons with the school system and the salaries of teachers.
Thank you, I'm sorry, Deputy County Manager Trotman.
So Yolanda Griffin corrected me on the crisis program. Majority of the funding is for staff, but they do have funding to provide housing stipends within that $792,000. So I just want to be clear on what it's funding.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was any funding reduced for Charlotte Shout, or is that the same?
That's the same.
And that's $500,000?
Yes.
And I've been talking about, like, the most important priority in my district. Number one is everybody wants a dedicated ambulance service in North Mecklenburg, but they're also asking for the funding for this EMS study. Is any of this funding included in this budget for the EMS study?
There's no money in the budget, in this budget for the EMS study, but Medic is going to pay for that study when it moves forward. We didn't have to add any money in the budget for that.
I know you do.
And do we have the ability, Medic has their way of dispatching ambulances. Do we have the ability to say, we want it in a north, we want it, the county commission wants to have 1 or 2 ambulances in the north region?
Well, they're managed by a separate board. They're not managed by Mecklenburg County. They love our input and our suggestions, but we certainly can't mandate that they do that. And I know JP is here, and he can speak more to that.
I just want to make sure that I'm representing my entire district.
I get it.
When we talk about, the urgency of making sure that we are responded to in the same quickness that the center of everything's so Charlotte-centric. And as the county grows, and I have a very big district, and we just want to make sure we have the response time that everybody else gets. And I know Medic wants that. And so maybe I can ask more offline, but it's not going to lose its urgency. So I just want to say that. And I want to, since this is your last time, my favorite thing about you, Dina, is your focus on stability of local government. And so I feel some of your tension of, we did ask for this. And I feel like the whole executive team went throughout all of the responsibility areas that we have for the county and focused on what we could cut while maintaining stability of local government. And so while there's there's some things in here that are really hard for me, there's a big chunk, I wish I could get back, but I do understand these are uncertain times. And so thank you for having the focus on the stability of local government. And I want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
Thanks again for the time. Piggybacking on what she said, I do love that. As a budget analyst, that was my previous career too. I understand maintaining of stability. But I was also a compliance officer and understanding, what programs were efficient and weighing value-added programs versus something like Charlotte Shout. It's $500 million versus, crisis assistant ministry for whether it's positions or whether it's a portion of fees. What they see is that you're cutting $792,000 from their budget. And that's where you're asking them to juggle. And I don't know that, what I'm asking is, do we have the expertise to determine where they can pull $792,000? I don't believe that the value added that was defined is an actual value added. For instance, the programs that are now just doing tutoring that we were doing services for in COVID. Now, possibly, we can undo all of the work that was invested in those children. So, to me, the ones that are value added, that go directly to our priorities, it's more than just a value added. It's more than just an investment. And anytime it's a child or it's a person, their dignity of their home, their food, I don't think that we can define it as a value-added program that we can eliminate or that we can reduce. So that's my piece. And if you can provide, a little bit of granular detail, like Commissioner Griffin was saying, for, Sid Kimmel, the program, is it the performance? Were they not meeting expectations? Were they not hitting goals? Those are the ones that we want to see the contract of. The ones where there was a deficiency in something. Like I said, the ones that, there was a budget that wasn't spent, okay, I'll give you, we trust your judgment to say, there was an overage or it was unspent because this, that, and the third, and you've evaluated it and determined that that's reason enough to remove that, to reduce the budget by that amount. But again, the people who depend on us to make decisions for their households, we don't get the luxury of telling them, well, that was this type of position and so that's why that one was cut. We need to know and be able to define to them the reason why somebody's lost their job. We are able to feed one less family. So those are the questions, the granular questions that I need answered before I can jump on. And I'm for the increase in the budget because in the tax. I'm for the tax because this is where we're at. This is the budget that this is what we've been given by this administration, and it trickles down.
Thank you. Commissioner Griffin, and then we're coming to.
How much I got?
3 minutes.
I am not for the tax. The tax, we've been taxing every year that I've been on this board. You're going to have capital increases coming up, both for county buildings as well as the $2.5 billion for the bond. You're also going to have revaluation coming up. So people are going to see the cumulative big hit in terms of taxes. Also, CMS, in terms of MEC pre-K, I've asked for there'll be the third year, about kindergarten readiness, which is the purpose for kindergarten, the MEC pre-K program. They have refused for 3 years or don't have for 3 years. And they demonstrated that when we had our joint meeting because they couldn't even say how many of the kids know their numbers from 1 to 10. And also wasn't able to say when kids graduate, how in the heck they're going to determine if they're enrolled, enlisted, or employed. They don't even have a way of doing that. But my question, Adrian, is on slide 14. I thought when I first joined in 2023, their capital maintenance was $10 million, but I could be wrong. I think you added something in 2023. But hold on, I only got 3 minutes. But we've gone up to $32 million now, and they just had $2.5 billion capital program and had some leftover from the previous bond campaign. So why are we increasing by $20 million, if I'm correct, from 2023?
So first off, the capital maintenance, this is just for repairs. So this is not building anything new. This is just, basic replacing carpet, HVAC, that sort of thing. To your question, the budget has for a long time been $22,960,000, really since before even I came to work here in the county. Last year, we provided $10 million of additional one-time funding to bring it up to $32,960. You don't see that on the 25 column in this chart because I'm only showing you the base budget and that one-time funding goes out. For 2026, we're matching the same amount for the capital maintenance.
Is that annualized or fund balance?
A portion of this is annualized and a portion of this is fund balance.
Okay.
So the portion that is fund balance is 7.76, but we are recommending, the budget recommends an increase to the annualized amount, and that is because of the increased need for maintenance as the schools have grown.
I don't recall them making that presentation when they met with us.
They requested 32,960.
And I'm
Right.
saying in terms of how bad off the air conditioning system, the drapes, et cetera, at various high schools. I don't remember that presentation.
Right, I don't believe they went through a presentation on the
Right.
drapes and the other things in the high schools.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. Let's go back to crisis assistance. As compared to MEC Success, you said this program is similar to that?
It's an economic mobility program.
Okay. And we are serving 29 families at 2.7 million, is that right, in MEC Success?
I don't know the new revised budget, but it's much less than $2.7 million.
Well, it was in the presentation. That's where I'm getting the numbers from.
So the 2.7 is the budget for fiscal year 2025. It includes some fund balance. It includes a little over $800,000 in ongoing funding that is primarily for staff, and it also includes carry forward from unspent funds from 2024. That brings that total to the total you saw on the.
But we haven't spent all of that?
That's correct.
Okay. And so can I request a detail, before I can even vote on any of this and to say no to crisis assistance, which serves the people, they're on their boots on the ground, they're serving the people, can I get a detailed understanding of the financial empowerment program and what we're cutting? Because we just heard we're cutting housing stipends, and that's new to me. So I'm wondering if I can get that?
Sure.
All right. And if you could copy everybody?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's all.
That's it? Okay. All right. So I've listened to everyone a couple of times now and heard from staff. A few things that I'd say. I do have some data requests, Adrian. But before I get there, I want to level set on a couple of things. Anytime we talk about a recommendation with respect to a tax increase, it's always going to give everyone consternation. A couple of things that I'd like to point out, though. I'm going to give a personal view, and then I want to go to a macro as our position across the state. From a personal view, I don't support tax increases, but I do support investing in our community. I support investing in our most vulnerable, and I support investing based on the need, which I feel like the manager and staff has demonstrated what the need is for the community and has not gone one penny above what we consider to be the need from my perspective. So that's just number one. I just want to level set where I am, but I certainly am not doing cartwheels about having to do it. The reality of the situation is we all know the math. I mean, as Taraji would say, the math's not mathing, right? It's $49 million in growth, 60+ million in need, structural deficit that we all knew that we were going to start out with. So let's let that just sit right there just for a minute. The other thing that I'd like to point out is that staff is here we're not here to convince them as far as what we're going to do, right? That's not how this works. They're here to tell us the risks from their level of expertise and what they think, but we're the decision makers, right? At the end of the day, we're the boss. We do what we feel is best, just like we've done in years past, like we did last year. And so we're here to make the tough decision. They give us the risk. We assess the risk. We say yay, nay, and we change up, and we go from there. Unfortunately, we're not in a position right now to be all things to all people. We, as a board, as a county commission, as folks that work for Mecklenburg County, have made unprecedented investments to people, to the community, to so many facets that impact everyday life, unprecedented investments. And each one sitting here and those not sitting here have been a part of that. And those that are not at this dais have been a part of that. And so when we look at this in its totality, we have to take those things into consideration. The manager certainly is absolutely correct. When we talk about the ARPA funding, not only, you know, and I don't want to blow it up, but, you know, we were all very proud of the fact of what we did with respect to emerging and grassroots organizations. And when we've gone to conferences, we've seen that no one else has done that. When you think about the way we lean in criminal justice services, when you think about equity investments and what we're doing with respect to reentry, or what we're doing as far as foster care is concerned with stipends, when you think about the homes program and the things that we're doing and the way we're leaning in there, I mean, you know, there have been some unprecedented things, and when we have to make tough decisions, and I applaud your courage, Commissioner Meyer, to talk about and bring up to the open, you know, things where sometimes we have to tell our friends no. You know, it's unpopular. We don't want to do it, but I hope our friends will remember all the times when we said yes. That's friendship. Friendship is understanding the circumstances that we're dealt with, and that when you have every option that you have is a bad option. There are no good options. As it relates to the tax rate, one of the things that we've seen, and we saw a presentation, I think about a month ago, we have the 19th lowest tax rate in the state of North Carolina. The 19th lowest, with a rapidly growing community and a tremendous need. We've been able to fund our K-12 partners. We've been able to fully fund them and their requests, again, unprecedented, with multiple years in a row. And so as we balance this out, what I would ask is that, again, we establish what our priorities are, where our priorities are, and we make the decisions that we have to make. If it is, you know, if we don't want to reduce from the 14 million that's recommended, then, you know, we're going to have to decide to use fund balance. If we don't, if we want to, essentially, when you look at all of the options that we have, right, it's clear. If we need to cut 29 or gain $29 million, we've got to look at going up on the tax rate to make up any delta that's out there. But we've got to fund, folks. We have got to, and Commissioner Leek said that yesterday. Adrian, what I'd like to see is some information as it relates to this budget. Can we get a sense of all of our unfunded mandates, those things that the state should be covering, that we are covering in this budget, and we can get an amount, so that I think that might be helpful for everyone to really understand. So when we go out to our friends, they can understand what we've been doing. The other thing is with the homes program, I think when we think about increasing the tax rate, where most of us are potentially increasing the tax rate, words matter. Most of us are worried about all of us are worried about the most vulnerable and what that could potentially mean. So can we get an analysis, Dina, where we could see, based on what our current granting process is with the homes program, we know that the city's not going to be there, but as it relates to the rate, can we see what the absorption could potentially be if those at 80% AMI at the 400,000, like what that grant would look like for them? Because I think it would be more, it would more than cover what we're saying, what the impact of the tax increase potentially could be. Do you understand where I'm going with that? a level of analysis on that?
I don't know that we can do that because we don't know how, what the incomes are for people who live in Mecklenburg County. So we wouldn't be able to determine, how many people in Mecklenburg County are 80% and below AMI.
No.
Well, you said 80.
No,
so-
what I'm saying is, but we could say if you're at 80%, not the actual numbers of people, but those at 80% AMI, because we know the AMI amount, if they own the home for $400,000, we know what the grant would be, or potentially what the grant would be, so that we know what the cost is being offset.
We can try.
Yeah, we'll have to.
We have to go back and try to wrap
Okay.
our head around your request.
Okay.
I'm not sure I fully understand it, so.
All right.
And one thing, just as a reminder, the Homes program was funded with fund balance years ago, and we're using carry forward in order to pay for those grants right now. So there should be some carry forward for next year to continue the program.
There's like 4 million left over.
Right, that's right. That's
Yeah, I'm tracking. As it relates to the structural deficit, does the policy allow us to defer part or all of what was used previously? Could we say we want to push it out to FY '27 or FY '28?
I think there's a 2-year payback in the policy.
So
if
it's
I'm
a
not
2-year
mistaken.
payback.
So once fund balance drops below 28%, then you have to start filling it back up. But
No, I think the policy has a provision in it, if you use it for ongoing expenses, that there's a 2-year payback.
I'd have to look at the details.
What I'm trying to figure out is, we started with 14.7 million structural deficit, and we're trying to make up that delta in FY '26, right, starting at. Is it possible for us to take half of that or all of that and say, we want to push it to 27 because we think market conditions may be different and we'll get more additional growth where we can offset that?
She's having a hard time.
You can, but, I mean, I would hate that for Mike, having to deal with that in his next budget, but, I guess it's
Mike,
not going to be my problem.
grab that.
As the county manager said, you can, but it's just not financially responsible.
Okay.
You just have to make the tough decisions, and you want to avoid a structural deficit. This is partly why you're having this conversation today.
Yeah.
And if you do that, I can assure you, you're going to have a similar conversation next year.
Sure.
You don't want to have a structural deficit for 2 consecutive years.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Well, I'm going to ask the questions because I want us to explore every single option. As we're trying to navigate this, I think we should put every single option on the table, and obviously we want to listen to where you're coming from. So thank you for that. And I do want to say, Madam Manager, that I do believe that your budget, the recommendation actually does reflect exactly what was asked. It's clear that it reflects exactly what was asked. That's why you have the smile on your face.
Well, I mean, it does. And the only thing I would caution you about is, we notified every nonprofit when we made the decisions about reducing or cutting their funding. And I would say the vast majority of them responded very humbly and very, they didn't like it, but they understood it. And I would just hate to see you be in a position where you start picking winners and losers, that the ones that reach out and scream the most are the ones that get attention, and the ones that took it and understood it and then just walked away don't get noticed because they didn't scream loud enough. I just would hate for you to be in a position where you start picking winners and losers.
No, and I think that's a fair point. One of the things I think we also have to remember is that what's the number in the budget of all the nonprofits that we fund? It's like $60 million?
Yes, so we, I believe it was in response to Commissioner Meyer's question earlier this year. We have about $58 million of funding for nonprofits, and that was before making the $6 million of reductions. And so that's roughly how much nonprofits we were able to pinpoint in the budget.
So can you also give us just a breakdown of between the reductions and the amount that is a complete cut, like what's the dollar amount that's the complete, out of the $14 million, what's that dollar amount that are completely being cut versus the reductions?
So I'd have to go back and take a look at each of them. For the, of course, the CSG program is just a termination of a program, but I believe the vast majority are reductions, and there may be a few eliminations in there.
Okay, yeah, because I'd just like to see the elimination. I want to know the eliminations. I know the CSG is at 2 million, but, and speaking of that, will you remind the board of what's communicated to folks when they go into the CSG process? Because I think some people think it's like a guaranteed 3 years. Some people think, you know, you can just get it in perpetuity and you automatically roll over.
That's right. We communicate in writing, and we also hold a meeting with any eligible applicants here in this room, and we let them know that no funding is guaranteed, even if they were a CSG in the past. So every year they have to compete.
Right. So it's a yearly thing, and I think that's important to point out. So with that being said, colleagues, I think it's just important, and I did want to address your question too, Commissioner, about where we stand as far as new investments are concerned. Personally, I think even in a tight budget, I do think it's appropriate to have new investments based on whatever we're seeing in the community as far as what there might be potential needs. I think it's appropriate for us to evaluate it, but I do think it's certainly inbounds to tee something up that might add value, because that new investment could have an ROI that is greater than, you know, what is previously out there or what we might get not having it.
Yeah.
I think you can certainly have a huge return on investment there. So I wanted to directly answer your question around that.
Thank you.
So you know, and colleagues, those are the discussions I think we've got to have internally. Give me 1 second. Those are the discussions that we need to have among each other so that we're clear on where we're trying to go with this. But I think, Adrian, if you were to say the options that the board has to consider to make up $29 million, what would be those 2 or 3 options that the board has to consider?
You would have to make reductions in expenses.
Right.
Or raise taxes.
Or raise
Or raise taxes. It says, that's as simple as that, right?
I didn't hear you clearly.
So your options are to make reductions in expenses or to raise taxes.
That last part I didn't hear.
You can make reductions to expenses or you can raise taxes.
Thank you. I want to make sure we heard that.
And to make up $29 million, we would have to touch some things that we consider sacred cows. I mean, think of the big ticket items that are attached to the budget. There's some big ticket items that I don't think we would really want to consider. Or, so I'll leave that. You get 30 seconds and 30 seconds.
My 30 seconds is, we keep saying we are friends. We're going to take care of our friends. This is not a party where we're dealing with friends. We are doing the business of people and not our friends. Everybody's not our friend. We're working for the people. So stop saying I got to do this because if my friend asks me this or asks me that. When I look in here at the staff that's sitting here, these people are going to have to increase their taxes. So I have a problem with it. I have a real problem with us continuing to say, well, I got to talk to my friends and we want to address my friends. Thank you.
Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
I just had a question if Adrian could also include, like, for instance, I understand that CSGs were not guaranteed because, and I don't have a problem with that because it was a year. Being a grant person, I understand that. What I want to know is which ones within the reduction page was CSG money, and can we tie the reductions to a specific priority that we did for 25, 26? Does that make sense?
So for your first question, the reductions here were not CSGs except for the CSG program itself. There was
Not listed
Okay,
there.
okay, they're not, okay, that was the question I had.
But we can certainly get you the list of those that were funded in the current year, if you want to see those.
No, I've seen those.
Okay.
It's on the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. So tomorrow we've got the public hearing.
It's on the website.
How many people do we have signed up?
It is in counting, so we're close to 80.
Okay. All right, so it's going to be a fun night, everybody. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Didn't want
Thank
to
you.
do
Huh?
commissioner report.
Oh, well, meeting adjourned. We're okay.
Nobody needs to talk.
Thank you.